Hello, everybody. We have come around to another week. If you're just joining, especially if you don't know that this is for the connection ritual, let me give you a brief overview of what we'll be doing. For the next 10 or 15 minutes, we will have a little meditation that we share where we collectively go to the space where we are all connected, beyond physical flesh, wherever we are at. And we spend a little time with that and we reach out to one another and we become acquainted with this space between spaces where we are all greater than the sum of our parts. I've been doing this for over a year. It started as a necessity for a number of folks in my energetic circle, especially during lockdown, as a way for us to connect when we were used to performing ritual and being with one another in person. We use a candle as a focus. You don't have to have a candle strictly. And if you don't have a candle, or if it's not safe for you to have a candle, feel free to use mine and try to keep it in frame. And there are a couple of recitations, one that I open with and one that I close with. The words for these are up on my website through the link that is probably posted by Illyria. They are the Keprian Charge and the Family Prayer. They are part of my practice. They are words that we have recited at the opening and closing of ritual for decades at this point, because I'm old. But without further ado, at 9 o'clock, we will begin. Get yourself settled. Find some place to be comfortable. If there are distractions in your space, set them aside. And we will begin. We are the many born. We are the immortal. Eternal we wander the aeons, moving to the rhythm of our own inner tides. We are active elements moving through passive worlds. Endlessly we die and are reborn, changed yet unchanging through the years. We move from lifetime to lifetime, taking up bodies as garments. Ours is a journey toward understanding, and our charge is knowledge and wisdom. We are the catalysts, and as we awaken to ourselves, we serve to awaken the very world. Sit with me a moment, wherever you are at, wherever your body resides. Take a few moments to be present in your flesh, in your space. Check in with yourself. How do you feel? Are you comfortable? Too warm, too cold? Are there distractions around you? Rather than trying to just block them out or force them away, acknowledge them and just set them aside. They're not what you want to focus on right now. Be in this moment, in this space, and then close your eyes against the light of this candle, the light of the chamber around you, not to block out the light, but to close your eyes and allow the light to play on the other side of your lids as a way of guiding your vision inward. Let the light outside of you become a way of finding the eternal, immortal, unquenchable spark that is you. As you sit wherever you are located, or lay or stand, allow your attention to spiral deeper and deeper, seeking the core of who you are. However that core may represent itself to you, as a flame, as a spark, as a distant string of melody, as a scent, as a name you only remember in dreams. However you experience this core of yourself, the eternal, immortal part of you, take a few moments to be there, to be whole in this centered, sheltered space where you have a distinct sense of where you begin and end and where everything else around you exists. And there are barriers, but they are permeable. There are things that you can make stronger or weaker as a choice. You know where your boundaries lie in this space. And for these first few moments, stay within those boundaries. Reacquaint yourself with what it feels like to only be you. No distractions, nothing pulling on you, nothing demanding your energy or your attention, only you. There is a healing quality to solitude, but at the same time, we can also feel isolated. In these moments where we retreat to the core of ourselves, where we reacquaint ourselves, where the boundaries are, where I begin and you end, and vice versa, we are not cut off from one another. We're not isolated. There's a difference between being solitary, being shielded, and being cut off. As you focus on the internal spark that is you, it may feel like darkness stretches all around you because your focus is so complete that it is narrowed. But if you turn your attention toward that vast and open space, the gulf between you and everything else, a glimmering webwork of gossamer strands will begin to shimmer. Tiny filaments of light that stretch between all of the other hearts and minds beyond you, that stretch indeed from you to them as well. Turn your attention now to these glimmering pathways of power and energy. The strings that run between the stars. And you and I are all stars, immortal, each following our own circuit through the cycles, through the aeons. Allow yourself to become aware of what these connections are, where they lead, which ones are bright and brilliant to you, and which ones seem dim through disuse. You've lost track of them, you've almost forgotten they were there, and yet they are spun of soul stuff, and so they never erode completely. And follow them now as roads, as pathways strung between us, ways in which we connect in dream, in vision, with energy, emotion, memory. They're pathways along which information is exchanged, often unconsciously, and yet there is so much power in harnessing them consciously and becoming aware that these pathways exist, that every time I feel something intently, the people to whom I'm connected will feel that vibrate along these strands like music carried along the strings of a violin that sits in a room where music is played by other instruments, that we vibrate in harmony, in symphony. Follow the connections that call to you right now. They may be people who you know in your life, people that you miss. They may be people who are not in physical bodies right now, because these gossamer strands are unbreakable and they tie us soul to soul, even beyond the bounds of death. So if there's someone you are missing, reach out. See what you recognize on the other end. Ask permission to connect, to share. If you are willing to open yourself up to contact, to to energy, to emotions, visions shared with you. Put that out into the universe as well. Invite connection. Request for your connections to be accepted. Do not push, but simply follow where the energy leads. And then take some moments to be spread out in this space between spaces where you are strung between distance and the stars, where there is an awareness of all of the other hearts and minds and souls glimmering around you. Familiar energies, familiar emotions, memories of who you were to one another, who you could be, how your lives are shaped now. If you have need of energy or support, reach out and ask. Do not be afraid to ask. If you have an abundance, if you feel that you are in a place where you are strong, where you have much to share, also reach out and offer. And each of us will reach out and clasp together across the miles, across the distance, and share our strength so that we will be stronger together. So we are greater than the sum of our parts. And it is tempting to remain connected through all of that. But take a few moments to share, and then remember that you must come back. We are always connected. These pathways are always there. We each shine brilliantly, unquenchably. The physical world can be a distraction, but this is always there. You do not need the sound of my voice. You do not need my candle. You can always come here. But for the moment, come back to where you sit or stand, where you may be reclining. Let the light be your guide to come back to your body, to come back to the room where you are at, to the sense of your physical body, the way it moves around you, the scent of the room, the sounds. That glimmering webwork is never gone, but we must shift our attention forward because we also live here, now, physically. There is lessons. There is wisdom in being able to walk in all of the worlds at once. We have passed this way before, and we will pass this way again. We have been many things to one another, teachers, lovers, friends, and bitterest enemies. But through it all, we have remained tied together soul to soul in this, our ancient family. May we endure together peacefully. May we enjoy each new lifetime as it comes. May we strengthen each other as we strengthen ourselves, and may we find one another in every time and in every place to share this fellowship and to celebrate this bond. I hope you had a good time. I will see you next week.